Alex Henderson considered his life comfortably, predictably average, and he was mostly okay with that. At 36, he worked as an IT support lead for a mid-sized logistics company in Denver, a job that demanded patience, methodical problem solving, and the ability to decipher frantic emails about malfunctioning printers. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. He paid his mortgage on their modest but cozy bungalow in the Washington Park neighborhood, contributed dutifully to his 401k, and genuinely looked forward to Friday nights, involving pizza and streaming documentaries with his wife, Maya. He wasn't exactly Mr. Fix-It around the house. Projects tended to start with enthusiasm and end with him misplacing a crucial screw or accidentally painting over a light switch. But he tried. He was the kind of guy who always remembered anniversaries but occasionally forgot where he parked his car. Reliable, maybe a little distracted, generally content. His life wasn't a thrilling novel, it was a comfortable, well-worn armchair. And Maya was the center of that comfort. Maya, 34, worked in event marketing, a job that suited her bubbly personality and effortless knack for remembering people's names. She was the organized one, the one who kept their social calendar afloat and knew exactly where the spare batteries were. She decorated their home with cheerful throw pillows and framed photos from their hiking trips in the Rockies. To Alex, she was warmth and laughter, the steady beat of their shared, ordinary, and perfectly lovely life. They'd been married 5 years. No kids yet, but they'd recently started talking about maybe trying next year. Everything felt settled, on track. That Thursday evening started like any other. Alex got home around 6, shedding his work lanyard on the entryway table, next to a precarious stack of mail he kept meaning to sort. Maya was in the kitchen, humming along to some indie folk station, while chopping vegetables for stir-fry, the scent of ginger and garlic filling the air. "Hey, you," she smiled, leaning in for a quick kiss that tasted faintly of bell pepper. "Rough day wrestling the server gremlins." "The usual," Alex chuckled, grabbing a beer from the fridge. "User error disguised as catastrophic system failure. How was yours?" "Manic! The Benson Gala launches next week. Everything's chaos," she said, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Oh, shoot, could you grab my phone off the counter? I need to check the caterer's ETA." Her phone lay screen up beside the fruit bowl. Alex picked it up, an unremarkable gesture he'd done 1,000 times. As his fingers brushed the screen to wake it, just before handing it over, a notification banner illuminated the display. It wasn't the caterer. "Ben, still buzzing from last night. Can't wait for the gala planning session tomorrow." Time seemed to warp. The cheerful indie folk music faded into a dull roar in Alex's ears. Ben. Ben Carter, Maya's charismatic colleague she sometimes mentioned, the one with the easy laugh she occasionally met for work coffees. Ben with a heart emoji? Last night? Gala planning session in quotes? The implication slammed into him with the force of a physical blow. His breath hitched. The phone suddenly felt slippery, alien in his hand. He saw Maya turn towards him, hand outstretched, a casual question forming on her lips, completely oblivious to the fact that their entire world had just detonated silently on that small glass screen. He thrust the phone into her hand, maybe a little too quickly, his own hand trembling slightly. He averted his gaze, mumbled something about needing to check the mail he'd forgotten, and stumbled towards the front door, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. He didn't check the mail. He stood on the porch, gulping in the cool evening air, staring blindly at the familiar street, the neighbor's cat preening on a fence post. The ordinary world utterly unchanged, while his own had just cracked down the middle. The stir-fry smell wafting from the kitchen now seemed nauseating. Maya's humming felt like a cruel joke. Last night. Tomorrow night. The words echoed, mocking the 5 years of comfortable routine, shared jokes, and future plans. He felt stupid, blind. How had he missed it? Were there other signs? Other nights? Other work coffees? The foundation of his predictable, unassuming life wasn't just cracked. It felt like it had crumbled into dust beneath his feet. He didn't know what to do, what to say. He just stood there, the accidental witness to his own life's demolition, utterly, devastatingly lost. Alex somehow managed to stumble through the rest of that Thursday evening. He mumbled excuses about a headache, picked listlessly at the stir-fry Maya served, had she made this for Ben last night, and retreated to the guest room claiming he needed to catch up on sleep before an early start. Sleep, of course, was impossible. He lay awake, the incriminating text message seared onto his retinas. Ben, still buzzing from last night. Gala's planning session. Each word was a tiny, sharp shard twisting in his gut. His mind raced, replaying innocuous moments from the past months, now cast in a sickening new light. Maya's sudden late work nights, her increased secrecy with her phone, the vague explanations for weekend errands. How could he have been so blind? The comfortable, predictable life he cherished felt like a cheap stage set, about to collapse around him. He went through the motions the next day, a ghost haunting his own routine. He called in sick to work, unable to face the cheerful normalcy of his IT colleagues. He wandered the house, picking things up and putting them down, the silence amplifying the roar in his head. He considered confronting Maya, rehearsing angry speeches, demanding explanations. He thought about calling Ben Carter, screaming accusations into the phone. He even briefly considered packing a bag and just leaving. But paralysis held him captive, a thick fog of grief, confusion, and disbelief rendering him incapable of decisive action. His normally methodical brain felt scrambled, short-circuited by the overload of betrayal. On Saturday morning, needing to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the house, Alex decided to run some errands he'd been putting off. Still lost in the fog, replaying imagined confrontation scenes in his head, he tried to maneuver his slightly aging sedan out of a tight parking spot near the dry cleaners. Distracted by a sudden, vivid mental image of Maya laughing with Ben, he cut the wheel too sharply, forgetting about the sleek, dark gray BMW parked perhaps a little too close behind him. The sickening crunch of metal on metal jolted him back to reality. He got out, heart pounding to see a long, deep scrape and a significant dent marring the BMW's rear bumper. Cursing under his breath, frustrated by his own clumsiness on top of everything else, he meticulously wrote down his name, number, and insurance details, tucking the note under the BMW's windshield wiper. It wasn't until later that evening, idly scrolling through Maya's tagged photos on social media, a masochistic exercise he couldn't resist, that he saw a picture of Ben Carter leaning proudly against that exact same dark gray BMW, posted just a few weeks prior. A jolt went through him. He hadn't hit just any car. He'd hit Ben's car. The universe, it seemed, had a dark sense of humor. The accidents born from his distraction and inner turmoil didn't stop there. A few days later, attempting to clear his head by tackling the perpetually cluttered garage, Alex decided to finally dispose of some old, half-used cans of paint thinner and sealant. Overwhelmed and not thinking clearly, instead of taking them to the hazardous waste disposal site miles away, he hastily dumped them into a large trash bin behind a strip mall near their house before waste collection day. He didn't realize the bin was designated for recyclables only, nor that the containers weren't properly sealed. A sanitation worker later reported the improper disposal, leading to a minor local cleanup alert and notices posted in the immediate vicinity. A vicinity that Alex vaguely recalled included the small office building where Ben Carter leased space for a side project. It caused a brief neighborhood stir and pointed suspicion towards illegal dumping from nearby businesses. The following weekend, trying desperately to feel normal, Alex attempted to cook an elaborate recipe he'd saved, something complex involving searing scallops in a finicky sauce. His mind drifted again, replaying fragments of overheard conversations, searching for clues he'd missed. He forgot about the pan on high heat. Acrid smoke filled the kitchen, setting off the smoke alarm with a piercing shriek. In his panicked attempt to quell the smoke by opening windows and fanning frantically, he knocked over a decorative vase on a nearby shelf, sending water cascading down into a pile of Maya's belongings she kept in the living room corner. Expensive art books, a portfolio case, her tablet computer. The smoke alarm had eventually stopped, but the water damage was significant. He hadn't meant to destroy her things. He'd just been trying and failing to cook scallops while his life fell apart. Meanwhile, Maya and Ben were experiencing this string of misfortunes with growing unease. Ben was furious about the significant damage to his car and the hassle with insurance, compounded by the vague suspicion cast by the improper chemical disposal near his office space. Maya returned home to find her tablet waterlogged and her art books ruined, just days after the car incident Ben had complained bitterly about. Because their affair was secret, they couldn't openly discuss why both of them seemed suddenly plagued by Alex's apparent clumsiness or bad luck. Was he doing this on purpose? Was he somehow sabotaging them? Or was this just bizarrely terrible timing? The stress, the inconvenience, and the underlying guilt began to eat away at them, fueling suspicion not just towards Alex, but towards each other. The foundation of their illicit relationship, already shaky, was beginning to crack under the pressure of Alex's unintended chaos. Alex himself observed these developments with a bewildered sense of detachment, still too lost in his own pain to fully grasp the darkly comic consequences his grief was accidentally unleashing. The string of accidents acted like a corrosive agent on the already fragile structure of Maya and Ben's affair. What had felt exciting and clandestine just weeks before now felt fraught with anxiety and a creeping paranoia. Their hushed phone calls and secret lunchtime meetings shifted tone, the stolen moments increasingly dominated by stress rather than passion. "Are you sure Alex doesn't suspect anything?" Ben demanded one afternoon, meeting Maya in a secluded corner of a downtown park. He gestured angrily towards the still noticeable scrape on his BMW, parked conspicuously across the street. "First my car gets sideswiped right outside the dry cleaners you recommended, then that chemical dumping scare near my office building. Now your tablet is fried? This isn't just bad luck, Maya. Is he that clumsy?" "Alex wouldn't do this deliberately," Maya insisted, though her voice lacked conviction. She nervously shredded a napkin in her lap. "He's not vengeful. He's just distracted. He seemed genuinely upset about the water damage, offered to pay for the repairs. Or maybe he's putting on an act," Ben countered, pacing agitatedly. "Maybe he found something, knows something, and this is his passive-aggressive way of messing with us. Did you leave your phone unlocked again? Did you mention that spa weekend we were planning?" "No, of course not," Maya snapped back, stung. "Maybe you were careless. Maybe someone saw us. Why are you blaming me?" The accusation hung between them, ugly and divisive. The easy trust, the shared thrill of their secret was rapidly being replaced by suspicion and finger-pointing. Every minor inconvenience, every strange coincidence, was now viewed through the lens of potential discovery or deliberate sabotage. Their planned romantic getaway to a mountain spa, the one mentioned in the text Alex had seen, was quietly shelved. Ben cited the unexpected cost of his car repairs. Maya claimed work deadlines. Neither mentioned the real reason: the mounting fear and the souring atmosphere between them. Alex, meanwhile, observed the changes within Maya from a distance, wrapped in his own bubble of grief and confusion. He noticed her increased jumpiness, her irritability, and dark circles under her eyes. She complained vaguely about Ben having car trouble and stress at work, never connecting it directly to Alex's mishaps, but the tension radiating from her was palpable. He didn't pry. He found he didn't have the energy. The initial white-hot pain of betrayal was cooling into a dull, heavy ache, and his focus slowly began shifting inward. He started going for long runs after work, the physical exhaustion offering a temporary reprieve from the mental turmoil. He even hesitantly looked up therapists specializing in relationship trauma. He still hadn't confronted Maya directly about the text message. Part of him was terrified of the finality, the inevitable explosion. Another darker part watched the chaos unfolding around Maya and Ben with a strange sense of bewildered detachment, like observing a slow-motion car crash he somehow felt vaguely responsible for, but powerless to stop. He hadn't planned this Rube Goldberg machine of misfortune hitting them, but he couldn't deny a grim sense of irony as their carefully constructed secret life began to buckle under the weight of his accidental interventions. The breaking point for Maya and Ben came during a heated argument a couple of weeks later, sparked by yet another minor bad luck incident. Perhaps Ben getting a flat tire on his way to meet her, or Maya losing an important client presentation to file due to a supposed power surge affecting the computer Alex had recently fixed. "This is insane!" Ben had yelled, according to a tearful, fragmented account Maya later gave a mutual friend, which eventually got back to Alex via workplace gossip. "It's like we're cursed. Or maybe he knows, Maya. Maybe he put some tracker on your phone. Maybe he sabotaged my files remotely." "Don't be ridiculous, Ben," Maya had reportedly shot back. "You're just paranoid. Maybe we are the bad luck. Maybe this whole thing was a mistake." The argument escalated, old resentment surfacing alongside new fears. The trust was gone, replaced by suspicion. The romance was dead, so it choked by stress and paranoia. The thrill there had curdled into anxiety. Later that week, they officially ended it. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation initiated by Alex. It was an implosion caused by the inability of their deceitful relationship to withstand the bizarre, unintended pressure cooker created by Alex's grief-fueled mishaps. Alex heard the news of their breakup indirectly. There was no satisfaction, no sense of victory, just a profound weariness and a dawning, absurd realization. He hadn't needed a revenge plan after all. Life, or perhaps just his own spectacular run of accidental bad timing, had taken care of it for him. The wreckage was still smoldering, but the fire, at least between them, had burned itself out. News of Maya and Ben's explosive breakup reached Alex indirectly, through the subtle but unmistakable shift in Maya's demeanor when she finally arranged to move the last of her things out of the bungalow. There were no dramatic accusations hurled at him, no demands for explanation. She just seemed deflated, exhausted, her earlier defiance replaced by a weary resignation as she packed boxes filled with belongings, some still faintly water-stained from his kitchen mishap. Ben, he heard through workplace whispers relayed by a sympathetic colleague, was dealing with escalating insurance premiums after the BMW incident and some unforeseen complications with a side project linked to improperly stored files, likely the ones scrambled by Alex's accidental malware click. Their carefully constructed secret world hadn't been blown apart by Alex's righteous fury or a meticulous revenge plot. It had simply imploded under the bizarre, random-seeming pressure of his grief-fueled clumsiness. He pictured it sometimes. The two of them paranoid and stressed, pointing fingers, their illicit romance souring amidst dented fenders, damaged electronics, and the faint whiff of improperly disposed paint thinner. A dark, almost hysterical laugh bubbled up inside him at the sheer absurdity of it all. He hadn't lifted a finger in calculated retribution, yet the universe, or perhaps just his own temporary lapse in basic coordination, had served up a chaotic, messy form of consequence he could never have engineered. There was no satisfaction in it, not really. Just a profound sense of irony and a strange, unexpected liberation. He didn't need to be the architect of their downfall. He didn't need the closure of a shouting match or the validation of their suffering. He just needed to disconnect, to step away from the blast radius of their choices and his own unintended contributions to the chaos. Maya's moving day was quiet, awkward. She mumbled a half-hearted apology about everything being a mess, never quite meeting his eye. Alex simply nodded, helping her carry a box to her car, feeling only a distant pity and an overwhelming desire for it all to be over. He wasn't angry anymore. He wasn't even particularly sad. He was just done. With Maya gone, Alex surveyed the quiet house. He meticulously cleaned the lingering smoke residue from the kitchen walls, sorted through the remaining clutter in the garage, this time carefully taking hazardous materials to the proper disposal site, and even managed to fix the leaky faucet under the bathroom sink that had been dripping for months. He started therapy, unpacking the grief and the bizarre events that followed. He reconnected with old friends, admitting sheepishly he'd been going through some stuff. He focused on his IT job with renewed, if slightly world-weary diligence. Life settled back into a semblance of ordinary, but it was a different ordinary now. He was more aware of the fragility beneath seemingly stable surfaces, more attuned to the unpredictable currents of consequence. He hadn't sought justice, but a strange, almost cosmic balancing had occurred anyway, leaving him not triumphant, but simply free. Free from the weight of the betrayal, free from the burden of plotting revenge, free to finally sort through that perpetually neglected stack of mail on the entryway table, and maybe, just maybe, remember where he parked his car. The armchair of his life felt a little less comfortable, perhaps, but undeniably his own again.